Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our monthly meeting of the Cobb County Board of Zoning Appeals. As is our custom at this time, I'm going to ask Mr. Carl Carver if he'd please come forward. And ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Carver is going to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, so if we'd all please rise, we will start.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for God.
Thank you, Mr. Carver. For those of you that are here for the first time, let me give you a little insight on how we're going to conduct the meeting today. The first thing that we will concern ourselves with is the consent agenda. These are applications that not only this board has reviewed, but our professional and our engineering staff have reviewed. And to our knowledge, there's no known opposition to any of these particular cases. So as we go forward, Mr. John Peterson, our head zoning administrator, will read these cases into the record. And as he does, the applicant, he or she, will identify themselves by raising their hand. Likewise, if there's anybody in opposition to any of these particular cases, if they would identify themselves by raising their hand, and if we do have opposition, we will pull that particular case and hear it in its regular numeric order. The next course of business is our regular agenda, and when we get into that, I will instruct the audience and the participants of what we're going to do there. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we're on a very unusual time. Obviously, we're still under COVID. Mr. Peterson and his staff have notified everybody that's on the consent agenda. And what we have done is we've brought all these people to Marietta. They're sitting around this building in parking lots in their cars, watching us either on a local broadband or on the internet. So as we go through the cases, and once we complete the cases, we're going to take a 5-minute break, and Mr. Peterson and his staff can notify these folks by email either to come into the building or to leave and go home. So we indulge your generosity by allowing us to do that. With all that said, Mr. Peterson, do you have any special comments to make?
Yes, and thank you, Mr. Chairman. I do have 2 announcements to make before we read the consent agenda. There are 2 cases on today's printed agenda which have been continued by the staff and will not be heard today. First case is variance case V173, Discount Tire. This case has been continued by the staff until the February 10th, 2021 Board of Zoning Appeals hearing. So V173 will not be heard today. Also, variance case V182, Stephen J. Schnug Jr. This case was continued by the staff until the February 10th, 2021 Board of Zoning Appeals hearing. So V182 will not be heard today. And I would like to ask the audience that are here in person today that if they have a cell phone, please turn the volume off on your cell phone, as the ringing does interfere with the broadcast and the presentations. And with that, Mr. Chairman, I'm ready to start the consent agenda.
Let's go right to it.
Thank you. Cobb County Board of Zoning Appeals, variance hearing consent agenda for January 13th, 2021. First case on consent is variance case V171, Karen Wilson. Request a variance to reduce required setback for a freestanding sign from required 62 feet from the center line of an arterial roadway to approximately 43.5 feet or 1 foot from the right-of-way line in land lots 783 and 802 of the 17th district. The property is located on the south side of Terra Mill Road, northeasterly of Water Place. Staff recommends approval, subject to traffic comments. Is there anyone here today opposed to variance case B171?
No.
Let the record show no one opposed. Variance case V172, John G. Farish requests a variance to increase the maximum allowable impervious surface coverage from 35% to 38.81% in land lot 1188 of the 16th district. The property is located on the southeast corner of Woodlawn Drive and Bellaverdre Place. Staff recommends approval, subject to stormwater management comments. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case V-172?
Nope.
Let the record show there's no one opposed. Variance case V-174, Sign Solutions of East Atlanta LLC request a variance to increase the maximum allowable total wall sign area for a tenant from 49 square feet to 59 square feet in land lot 781 of the 17th District. The property is located on the north side of Windy Hill Road, east of Cobb Parkway. Staff recommends approval. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case V-174? Let the record show there's no one opposed. Variance case V-175, Gordon and Matthew Olson request a variance to reduce the rear setback from required 35 feet to 21.5 feet in land lot 1041 of the 17th District. The property is located on the north side of Bird's Mill, north of Gumby Road. Staff recommends approval, subject to number 1, stormwater management comments, and number 2, no business or dwelling use of the structure. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case V-175? Let the record show there's no one opposed. Variance case V-177, AQUA Design Pools and Spas LLC request a variance to reduce the front setback from required 40 feet to 20 feet, which is existing. And number 2, allow an accessory structure, which is a pool, spa, equipment, and associated patio pavers, or a paver patio, to be to the side of the principal building in land lots 976 and 977 of the 16th District. The property is located on the east side of Indian Hills Parkway, south of Clubland Drive. Staff recommends approval, subject to stormwater management comments. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case V-177? Let the record show there's no one opposed. Variance case V-178, AQUA Design Pools and Spas LLC requests a variance to increase the maximum allowable impervious surface from 35% to 40.1% in land lots 245 and 246 of the 20th District. The property is located on the west side of Kings Park Drive, south of Old 41 Highway. Staff recommends approval, subject to stormwater management comments. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case V-178? Let the record show there's no one opposed. Variance case V-179, GRAYCO STILLHOUSE Investment, 2019 LP, request a variance to number 1, waiver to allow signage on the canopy approximately 99.5 square feet with internally lit individual lettering at approximately 3 feet in height. Number 2, waiver to allow projecting signage approximately 66 square feet, being an internally lit sign cabinet and located approximately 56.3 feet from grade. Number 3, waiver to allow wall signage on the north elevation, which is Cumberland Boulevard, approximately 99.5 square feet with internally lit individual lettering approximately 3 feet in height. And number 4, waiver to allow wall signage on the west elevation, which is Cumberland Boulevard and Stillhouse Lane, approximately 99.5 square feet with internally lit individual lettering, approximately 3 feet in height, in land lots 949 and 950 of the 17th District. The property is located on the south side of Cumberland Boulevard, on the east side of Stillhouse Lane, and on the west side of Stillhouse Creek Drive. Staff recommends approval, subject to sign rendering contained in the variance analysis, with the zoning division manager approving any modifications. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case V-179? Let the record show there's no one opposed. Variance case V-180, signal signs, request a variance to increase the maximum allowable wall sign for a tenant from 49 square feet to 255.27 square feet in land lot 1012 of the 17th District. The property is located at the northeast corner of Acres Mill Road and Overton Park Drive, east of Interstate 75 and west of Cumberland Boulevard. Staff recommends approval, subject to sign rendering contained in the variance analysis, with the zoning division manager approving any modifications. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case V-180? Let the record show there's no one opposed. Variance case V-181, Jason Sweat requests a variance to reduce the rear setback for an accessory structure under 650 square feet for a proposed 325 square foot gazebo from required 30 feet to 20 feet in land lots 1101 and 1100 of the 16th District. The property is located on the south side of Hartford Court, east of Guilford Circle. Staff recommends approval, Is there anyone here opposed to variance case V-181? Let the record show there's no one opposed. Variance case V-183, Scott Holland requests a variance to number 1, allow an accessory structure, which is approximately 644 square foot, one-story brick garage to the side of the principal building, which is existing. And number 2, reduce the setbacks for an accessory structure over 650 square feet for a proposed 1,500 square foot sports court from required 100 feet to 65 feet, adjacent to the rear and 43 feet adjacent to the eastern property line in land lot 51 of the 18th District. The property is located on the south side of Buckner Road, east of Wandering Vine Lane. Staff recommends approval, subject to stormwater management comments. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case V-183? Let the record show there's no one opposed. And lastly, variance case V-184, Judith Brumlow requests a variance to increase the maximum allowable wall sign area for a tenant from 49 square feet to 124 square feet in land lots 27 and 28 of the 19th District. The property is located on the south side of Dallas Highway, west of Billy Rickle Way. Staff recommends approval. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case V-184? Let the record show there's no one opposed. And that completes the consent agenda, Mr. Chairman and Board.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Peterson. It's back to this board for discussion. So fellow board members, is there any comments, questions, suggestions, recommendations? Not hearing any, I'll entertain a motion for approval or
Sure, Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve the consent cases.
motion to approve, second by Mr. Gold. No other comments. We'll call for the vote. All in favor signify by raising your hand. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to approve the consent agenda with a 4-0 vote. Ms. Williams is not with us today. With that said, John, I'm going to call a recess for 5 minutes. How Mr. Peterson and his zoning staff can notify all the people that are surrounding this building. So with that, Cornelius, we'll take a 5-minute break. Okay, if you folks were if you want to go, please leave and leave quietly. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're back from our little break, and we've notified everybody they're either coming into the building or they're on their way home. With that said, this is the Cobb County Board of Zoning Appeals, our monthly meeting. We are now at the regular agenda. We only have one case to hear. Our procedure will go forward. Mr. Peterson will read this case into the record, and then we'll have the applicant come forward. Mr. Brian Johnson, the attorney, will swear you in, and then at that time, you will have a 5-minute period, a 10-minute period to come to the podium to my right and tell us what you want to, what you're asking us to do. And then if we have any opposition, we will also give them a 10-minute period, and I think we'll be ready to move on. All right, Mr. Peterson, are we ready? Let's read it into the record.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Variance case V176, Juana Piedra Nunez requests a variance to number 1, allow a detached structure, approximately 492 square feet, which is a wood-framed awning, to be located in front of the primary structure. Number 2, reduce the front setback for an accessory structure under 650 square feet for a 492 square foot frame awning from required 8 feet to 0 feet. Number 3, reduce the side setbacks from required 5 feet to 1.3 feet adjacent to the eastern property line, which is existing. Number 4, reduce the side setback for an accessory structure under 650 square feet for an approximately 192 square foot portable shed number 1 from required 5 feet to 0 feet adjacent to the western property line, which is existing. And number 5, reduce the side setback for an accessory structure under 144 square feet for an approximately 96 square foot portable shed number 2 from required 5 feet to 1.3 feet adjacent to the western property line, which is existing. In land lot 419 of the 18th District, the property is located on the south side of Pecan Log Place, north of Ivy Log Drive. The applicant is present. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case V176?
No, sir.
Let the record show there's no one opposed. Would the applicant please come forward to be sworn in?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes,
They
sir.
will be using a translator for the,
I-
they will be using a translator for the hearing.
Yes, okay. Okay. All right, now I'm told we have a translator, so the first thing I need to do, if you would, as a translator, just identify yourself for the record,
Yeah, my name is Jorge Guerrero.
okay? And the next gentleman, if he'd come up and just give us his name for the record. Just say his name.
Ireneo Jaimes.
Thank you. And the young lady, if you would come up, please say your name.
¿Y tu nombre?
Juana Piedra Núñez.
Okay, thank you. Now, at this period of time, you just tell us what you want to do with the property, and we'll go from there, okay?
Okay. So, they built like a shed in the front. The reason, they don't have a garage in their home. He works in carpet, so he usually has a truck with carpet in the back. And when it rains, his material would get wet, so he built a shed. He wasn't aware about the permits. Somebody came, they said that they needed to bring it up to code. So that's the front part. The back, the shed, he built a little shed. It turns out he went into his neighbor's property line by, I don't know, a foot, I believe. They told him he had to move it. I was talking to him, and he said he'll probably want to move that shed 5 feet into his property to avoid any trouble, and he's willing to make any changes necessary to be up to code.
Okay. All right, with that said, I don't want to stop you there, but what I'd like to do is I'm going to bring Mr. Galt Porter on board right now. He's your representative, so Galt, if you would go ahead and take it from here. We don't have any opposition, so I'm going to cut to the chase.
Okay, and something a little bit different from our discussion. They want to move both sheds now 5 feet?
One of the shed, the one that's
Okay.
in his properties, his neighbor's property.
Okay, because then the other shed, he'd still have to do whatever the building codes require for fire rating and that.
Okay, entonces
just-
del otro shed que está también del otro lado que ya estaba, dice que también necesitas, si lo vas a dejar ahí, vas a tener que hablar con inspección y a lo mejor van a necesitar que las paredes también. ¿Quisieras mover los dos o nomás el que construiste?
El que ya estaba ahí cuando llegó.
Van a
El
querer,
chiquito.
sí, van a querer que también lo tengan a código.
Ok, le pongo lo que...
¿Lo vas a
son
mover
cuatro.
también?
Sí,
A 5 pies para adentro.
muevo los dos. Y si no, el otro lo quito.
El
Porque
viejito.
ya está viejito.
Okay, so he wants to talk to inspections about that.
Okay,
But if he said he'll try to move it. If it's too much, they're asking if he's just gonna knock it down and get rid of the old one and just keep the one that's 1 foot inside of his neighbor's.
okay,
Yeah.
okay. What,
Is that shed number 1 or number 2 listed that you're speaking about now?
well, the one that goes over the property line, shed number 1,
Okay,
and you were saying he wants to move that 5 feet.
Yeah, inside his property line,
And then the second shed, he'll either move or get rid of.
depending on what inspection says.
Okay, okay. So that, if we move them to 5 feet, John, we don't need a variance for those, right?
That's correct.
Okay, okay, so we'll probably eliminate those variances and just have you come into compliance there. Now, with the carport that was built, I think we discussed the fact that you're gonna have to get a permit and bring it up to code. One of the issues is the code requires if you have a 0 setback that you sprinkle the thing, the sprinkler. So we talked about that doesn't really make sense. And it probably makes more sense to bring it to the building line of 8 feet and just get rid of that variance because, John, correct me if I'm wrong, they won't need to sprinkle it if it's 8 feet, right?
But that's a fire department requirement.
Okay.
Mr. Porter, so I couldn't speak on that.
Okay, I'm not positive, but I think you won't have to. But once again, you know, the building inspections and fire will make that call. So talk to them first before you do any work, get your building permit before you do any work, get your plans approved. But I think the other thing is it's just too close to the road anyway.
Yeah, 'cause, after we spoke, he did mention that from the road to where it's being built, it said it's 9 feet. I don't know if, looking at that picture of his property
Right.
line, it doesn't go all the way to the road, so.
Yeah, yeah, where the yellow line is his property line. So right now it comes basically to the yellow line.
Okay, all right,
Because the other stuff to the road is county right-of-way.
okay. Y entonces, antes de ir allá a sacar los permisos, necesitas hablar con el departamento de bomberos para ver si está muy cerca todavía. Te habían dicho que 8 pies, pero tu propiedad llega donde está la línea amarilla, no hasta la carretera. Desde ahí se cuentan las 8 pies. Pero ya me explicó que es lo primero que necesitas hacer antes de ir a sacar los permisos. Okay, I understand.
Okay, okay, so what we're talking about is essentially moving this 8 feet closer to the house.
Right, understood.
And that way it gets to that, what they call the building setback. So
Understood.
you won't have a variance on that.
Okay.
And then we talked about, you know, making it look a little bit better with maybe, you're good with bricking around the posts and that?
He said that was his original intention, but he stopped everything until he settled this.
Okay.
So he was trying to connect it to the house and put brick, but we wanted to talk to you first before we
Yeah.
moved on.
Well, that's good, because he may have done a lot more work that he'd have to take out.
Yeah.
So that was the right decision. Does anybody else have any questions or
I don't think so.
anything?
Just a quick one. I want to make sure I'm clear. Is the fire resistance rating not required for shed 2 if they move shed 1?
I think it's required if either one of them's within, is it 5 feet, John?
I think it's less than 5 feet.
If it's less than 5 feet.
Yeah. So that would be a requirement still?
Right,
Okay.
so he's talking about getting them both at least 5
Both?
feet or getting rid of one.
Okay.
So,
Just want to make sure that was clear. Thanks.
so we're gonna drop off that variance.
Okay.
Okay, no more questions?
No, sir.
I guess you guys can have a seat then,
Thank you.
Thank you.
and we discussed it. I think we could approve having an accessory structure up to 492 square feet, assuming that he can just move the whole thing. I'm not positive if he'll have to shorten it at all or not, so we'll just say up to, not having the front setback variance because the building line's only 8 feet anyway. So that's plenty close enough. Having it remain a cart, meaning it can't be enclosed into a garage, otherwise they wouldn't have a usable driveway, and it would be too short. And then we're gonna get rid of the setbacks for the sheds and have everything. So I'll make that into a motion. Recommend that we approve V-176, subject to variance number 1, allow a detached accessory structure up to 492 square feet be located to the front of a primary structure. Structure to be a carport only and not to be enclosed to a garage. The columns for the carport to be bricked. And I guess we'll add sheds and carport to meet all building and fire codes. Make it subject to traffic comments, development and inspection comments, storm water management comments. We're gonna eliminate variance number 2. So we're gonna strike that, which was the 8 feet to 0 feet. We're gonna eliminate variance number 3, which was for the shed, and eliminate variance number, well, let's see. We need number 4. We still need number 4, right, John? And then eliminate variance number 5?
No, they
Is
need,
that right?
they need variance number 3 because 3 is for the house.
Oh, okay.
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 4 and 5
Leave
we can
number
get rid of.
3.
Yeah.
Leave number 3.
Get rid of 4 and 5,
Well, let's see. 4's,
because those are both the
okay,
shed ones.
okay, eliminate number 4 and number 5, which were for the sheds. And that's all of them, right, John?
Yeah, so we're approving 1 and 3, and the rest are being
Okay.
withdrawn,
So
or denied.
that's a good way to summarize it. Approve number 1 and number 3, and eliminate 2, 4, and 5. And that's the motion.
Good. Got a motion. Do I have a second, Mr. McDaniel? Any other comments? No other comments? Call for the vote. All in favor, signify by raising your hands. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to approve that particular case, V-176, with a 4-0 vote. With that said, John, what else do you have in front of us?
Mr. Chairman, we do have one more item on the agenda, which is to amend something previously approved. Your hearing procedures do allow this board to amend something that was previously approved by the board. This particular case was a variance case of V-141 of 2020 for Mr. James H. Bird, in which the variance board did reduce a required setback for an accessory structure. One other thing was on the variance application that was missed by myself, and that was to allow a second electrical meter, utility meter on a residential lot. So we'd ask the board to amend the approval for variance case V-141 of 2020 to include the allowance of the second meter on the residential lot.
Okay, whose original case was that? Mr. Gold? Gold, I'll turn it over to you.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we approve the recommended amendment to V-141 to allow a second utility meter on a residential lot. And all other stipulations still apply.
I've got a motion, second, Mr. McDaniel. No other comments, call for the vote. All in favor, signify by saying aye, aye. Okay, we're going to approve V-141 from last month. What else, John?
That's it, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we've got a couple of house cleaning things to do. First thing to bring to your attention, the December the 9th meeting, the January the 11th meeting, and the December 9th Board of Zoning Appeals hearing. I have entertained a motion on all three of those.
Make a motion to approve.
Okay, do I have a second? Galt, second. All those in favor, raise your hand. Okay, we'll approve those 5-0. Ladies and gentlemen, it is unusual times that we live in. If you notice, Miss Williams was not here today. She is sick, and we're looking forward to having Judy back, and hopefully she'll be back very soon. Okay, remember this. It is unusual times. We want you to take care of yourself, take care of your neighbor, and with that, we'll see you next month. The bumper music can start now, Cornelius. Dun, da, da.